Releasing stress and anxiety. This is the Greater Boston NLP Hypnosis Meetup. We've been around for 12 years or so, actually even longer, since this is a combination of two different meetups. The one was a hypnosis and one was an NLP meetup. NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Let's just talk about it as a way to make changes in the mind and body. Okay, tonight we're talking about releasing stress and anxiety. Stress and anxiety seems to be kind of a commonplace nowadays, isn't it? Stress and anxiety is something we all get to experience, you know, probably more often now in this climate of pandemic and everything else going on. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of things. I love this picture. He's my favorite. He's my favorite. That looks like anger. You know, he was definitely overstressed, and stress can lead to a lot of other things, including anger. But stress is defined as a state of mental or emotional strain caused by adverse circumstances. So adverse circumstances, we got a lot of adverse circumstances, but you know, our daily stresses, you know, we're getting behind in work, or we're given too much work. And as we're trying to do all that work, we got children that need the attention because they're home, or, you know, bills, or whatever it is, daily stresses. When they add up, they can cause a mental or emotional strain. So that's stress. What about anxiety? Anxiety is a feeling of worry. A feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. So it's basically worrying about something specific. A lot of the times, you know, you're worrying about, you're feeling there's going to be an adverse outcome, a negative outcome, and you're just ruminating on that. But anxiety can also be generalized, whereas you're worrying about everything. Every single thing that comes up, that comes into your life, you're worrying something bad's going to happen with it. So it's more of a just, okay, something's going to happen, something, you're always worried about the unknown. So you have stress and anxiety. They're two very common things. They've been around for a long time, and we've been dealing with it all our lives to one extent or another. But when it becomes more so, when it becomes, I'm stressed every day, or I'm worrying all the time, I'm getting very anxious about everything, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when stress and anxiety become things that we don't want. Now, my objective is to create a stress-free zone for you, or have you create a stress-free zone with what you're going to learn tonight. So you're not looking like those two other pictures we have. You're looking more like this: stress-free, enjoying the moment, and more so even enjoying life. You know, we can always find those little moments in between those really difficult times, and sometimes they're so little, they're just fleeting, they're just seconds of, oh yeah. But you want to be able to live like this more than you're living like those other two pictures. So let's talk about how we deal with stress and anxiety. But first, let's talk a little bit about, you know, what stress and anxiety can do. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And some of you will remember this, not all. This is, even when I was growing up, I was watching repeats, but yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good and bad stress. The good stress saves your life. Yes, there is good stress. right? This is our fight or flight system. It's meant there to, in the moment, stress us to be able to move, to be able to get out of dangers, to be able to, to be able to run out of the way of a car as we're crossing the street and it's coming towards us, or even better, to grab someone and get them out of the way. That's a good stress. That stress is only meant to be temporary, to be in the moment, okay? And it's a life-saving system that's built into us, our fight or flight. The bad stress, when stress is there, not for those life-saving moments, it's there because everything around us externally is bothering us on a constant basis. That's when it gets bad. So there's a list of problems that it causes, but though some of the major problems consistent stress causes is heart disease and stroke. The real ugly part of stress is that if it is consistent, if it is causing a lot of problems, a lot of health problems, it can actually kill you, because the heart disease and stroke, of course, can. So though it has some good, it's not meant to be around often. It's not meant to be intense for any lengthy time. And that's when it gets bad and even ugly. So let's look at the anxiety. Believe it or not, there's good anxiety, because when you have something good happen, going to happen, you're looking forward to it, you say, I'm really anxious for it. This is good. It's really anticipation. It's a happy anticipation. Okay, and that when you have that actually can foster a lot of good positive thoughts. So it's not really anxiety about worrying, it's anxiety about really thinking that something really good's happening. And that's okay. Of course, we don't live our lives like that, so it's not constant. But when anxiety's around, when you're constantly worrying, when anything and everything new that comes into your life causes you to worry, and you have that anxiety going on, there is a whole list of problems it can cause. And guess what? The same thing as stress. Heart disease and stroke are also things that it can cause. And the ugly part, of course, is that if it's there for a long time, it can kill you. So neither anxiety or stress are good to have on a regular basis. The solutions, let's take a look at a few of these solutions. First, breathing. I think everybody knows this, and I actually decided to state it in a certain way and at the same time misspell it. Purposeful, not purposeful, but purposeful breathing. Purposeful breathing, it means that you're actually going to, on purpose, stop what's happening and focus on your breathing. Okay, stop what's happening and focus on your breathing. Almost everyone knows that breathing is a great thing for stress or anxiety, but hardly anyone does it. It's like, okay, if I think about it, you have to think about it to purposely do it. You actually have to practice it to be able to purposely do it in the moment. When you practice it and you practice on catching yourself getting stressed and breathing, after a while, when you get stressed, you're going to remember just like that, oh yeah, I've got to breathe. So the breathing is specific. It's a deep belly breath that's for the in-breath, right? So you're breathing from your belly, or you're breathing into your belly, not into your chest or your shoulders. Now, in the Western part of the world that we're in, and especially for males, it's seen as, okay, I'm going to lift my shoulders, I'm going to bulge out my chest, I'm going to be really look that good, and it's actually almost a powerful feeling that you feel Yeah, but we're not looking for that powerful feeling. We've already got a powerful feeling. It's called stress or anxiety. We're looking to calm down. So you breathe into your stomach, you breathe into your belly. And actually, if you want to try it right now, take a deep breath into your belly. Put your hands on your stomach. And it should feel like a balloon expanding. And then a slow exhale. Try it again. And then a slow exhale. Now, there's reasons why this works, and I'm actually suggesting also what's called a 4x8 breath, which means the timing of your inhale and your exhale is a 4x8. Now, I don't know, I always usually say your exhale should be double what your inhale is. If you want to count your inhale and make that match 4, then the same count, the same timing for the exhale should be 8. Or if you want to count with your own pace and say you counted 3, then the exhale should be 6. That's simple. Now, and this is also commonplace. And a lot of people do this, but why? Why is this special? Why can't I just breathe slowly? Well, breathing slowly will eventually get this, but this will do it faster for you. And let me tell you why. Okay, when you breathe in that belly breath, 2 things are going to happen. One is you're going to pull on this thing called the vagus nerve. And I used to think this was VAGES, like in Las Vegas. And I say, wow, this is my nerve for gambling. But it's not. All right. The vagus nerve is a nerve that goes from your brain, and it's I think that's called the 10th nerve out. And it connects with a lot of different parts of your upper body. Okay, when you can indirectly stimulate the vagus nerve or the vagus nerve, that's what happens when you pull from something that already has spelling errors. When you indirectly stimulate the vagus nerve by taking a deep breath, deliberate breaths from your belly, deep breathing activates the specific neurons that detect blood pressure. Let me ask you, if you're, and you don't have to, you can answer to yourselves, if you're stressed or anxious, are you going to have low blood pressure? You're going to be like, no, you're going to have high blood pressure. Okay, so what this does is activate specific neurons that detect blood pressure. These neurons signal the vagus nerve that the blood pressure is becoming too high, and the vagus nerve in turn responds by lowering your heart rate. So automatically, that belly breath is going to slow you down. If you're in overwhelm, if you're so stressed or so anxious, you're going to be able to slow down with that belly breath. We got science behind it. Also, one of the things that happens is when you breathe into your belly, your breath goes all the way to the bottom of your lungs. And when it gets to the bottom of your lungs, it enables more air, more oxygen to get into your bloodstream, another healthy thing. So you got 2 great positive things happening here when you do this belly breath. And then the 4x8 timing with the slow exhale. I got this 4x8, you hear it a lot. You hear this timing a lot for breath. But I tell you, I got this from this book called Breath Walk. Breath Walk was written by these 2 doctors here in Massachusetts, by the way. And they talked about these numbers or this count for breathing. And they do it for walking, but it works all elsewhere too. And they came up with all these formulas for breathing for certain things. This 4x8 timing, it is the best for getting you to slow down and relax as quickly as possible. But there's a timing for actually getting energy into your body as quickly as possible. There's a timing for reducing a migraine as quickly as possible. So if anyone's interested in looking further into the timings of breaths, and actually doing this thing, because when I walk, I do this breath walk. In doing this breath walk, it is the book Breath Walk. When you go look it up on Amazon, you'll see these two legs. It's called Breath Walk, and Guru Sharan and Yogi Bauman are the authors, and I got to see them speak, and really the timings that they've come up with are just fantastic. But I've been doing this for a long time, this wonderful 4x8 timing. So let's do the belly breath again, but this time concentrate on making your exhale twice as long. So ready? You're probably noticing that I'm making a noise on my out breath, and that's fine. Deepak Chopra says there's a lot of benefit to having a noise with your breath. And of course, you can do chants and stuff with that. That's not the purpose here. Purpose is just to breathe. And when I breathe in, I breathe through my nose and I breathe out through my mouth. Is that as important as the belly breath in the 4x8? No. If you want to breathe in and out through your mouth, go right ahead. Just make sure it's a belly breath and it's 4x8. If you want to do it all in your nose, go right ahead too. I do feel that I can slow my breath, my exhale, keep control over my exhale with my mouth as opposed to my nose, but that's just me. So, purposeful breathing. Purposeful breathing is something that'll bring you there. But when you're stressed and you're in the middle of great anxiety, are you going to remember? Probably not, unless you practice this breathing. So my recommendation is to practice this breathing a couple minutes a day, and you'll get used to, every time you go to do purposeful breathing, you'll get used to expanding your belly first and having a longer exhale. Now there's all sorts of different variations, this whole breath and everything. All I want you to do is be able to do this to slow yourself down and come out of stress and come out of anxiety, so you don't have to do all of the other things with the holding your breath or anything else. Another thing you can do, and this is adding to this breathing, is visualization, or imagine that something's happening. Okay, so you continue to do the breathing, only this time you're visualizing that and imagining that you're breathing in clean, fresh, refreshing, and healing air. Okay, so you visualize it, and you're breathing in clean air most of the time anyway. And it's the exhale that's really important, because the exhale, you're going to imagine, you're going to visualize that as you're exhaling, what's leaving your body with the air is also toxins, stress, and any worries. However you visualize that. Most of the time, for me, it's a dark breath coming out. Now, toxins could be real physical toxins if there's some in your body. Okay, imagine they're leaving your body. Or they can be the emotional toxins from the stress and the worries, however they would look. I want you to imagine that they are leaving your body with each and every breath. Clean, fresh, and healing air. Everything that's wrong in me. That's a good way to scoop it up. Everything that's wrong in me. So this is something that does work. This is something that I've been using for many, many years. And you know, I'll tell you, you're saying, well, it's your imagination, and yeah, you're forcing yourself to, imagine these are going out, and you're de-stressing because your heart rate's slowing and everything else. True, but it's not just that. For years and years, and people who know me know this, I've been using this breathing anytime I do get sick. And every time I've used it when I have a temperature, and I've had temperatures up to 103, within 1 hour, my temperature is back to normal, and I am great for whatever was bothering me for the next several hours. Depending on what I'm sick from, if it's a flu, it usually doesn't return. I've not had the flu in the last 20 years, I've not had it for more than 12 to 24 hours. And if I'm practicing this, it shortens it immensely. Other things, I've had things like viruses. I've had strep, where it doesn't take care of it. However, it brings the fever down, and I have several hours of feeling totally fine. So I know this breathing works. I know this visualization works. And this visualization will do whatever you need it to do with the stress and the anxiety. It will get it out of there. So if I've got anxiety, if I'm worrying about something, and something big is happening in my life, and I've got all the negative stuff going on, I will imagine that all of those worries, all the negative images, all the negative feelings that I have towards what I'm thinking might happen, I'm going to exhale them. And I do that for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and that anxiety won't come back for quite a while. So we have the breathing, and then we have the visualization. So those are two really, really good habits. So the breathing is scientifically based on what happens in your body, the more oxygen going to the bloodstream and the vagus nerve. The visualization is really how your mind starts to interact with your body. And your mind can interact with your body in some phenomenal ways. And this is just a simple thing that can have really great effects for you. So another thing you can do is bilateral stimulation. Bilateral stimulation. So you got two hemispheres of your brain, okay? So if there's a rhythmic alternation of stimulation between the left and the right hemispheres, okay? And I'm not talking about doing this tapping your head, although I haven't tried that yet. That could work. It would be alternate tapping on your knees or your arms or your lap, or if you're standing, you can tap on your lap still or on the sides of your legs. And it's just an alternate tapping on that. So what happens is your right side of your brain controls the left side of your body. So when you're tapping, you're actually moving your arm, and you're tapping somewhere, and the stimulus on your leg, and so you have your hand in your leg at the same time, it sends signals to the left side of your brain. And when you then tap on the left side, it sends signals to the right side. So you do this alternate tapping, and if you're doing the breathing at the same time, oh my goodness, your stress is going to go down even faster. So you go, I'm tapping on the table so you can hear it. This will allow that stimulation. Now, you might think, something similar here, maybe remind you of something. There is a psychological therapy called EMDR that is based on bilateral stimulation. First, they did it with the eyes, going back and forth one side to the other. And then they did it with some devices that pulse, boom, 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 boom. And now they have actually things that tie onto the arms or whatever it is. I haven't been keeping track. And they stimulate. And this bilateral stimulation will, for stress and anxiety, it works fairly well and pretty easy. Okay, so I want you to listen and maybe breathe and tap on your knees or your lap at the same time. And let's do that for just a moment. Do you notice I slowed down my tapping? There is a rhythm that your body gets into and keeps pace after a while. And if you slow down your tapping, you could also pace your heart to slow down. I haven't, this is a theory, but I'm suggesting that this is done with light flashing. This is done with devices over the eyes that will run at a certain frequency. In our mind right now is a certain frequency. It's called beta for the brain frequency. And I don't remember, maybe 40 hertz or whatever. So if the lights flash and pace the brain frequency and then they slow down, the brain can slow down too. So that works with the brain, and I'm saying that this could work a little bit to slow you down as well. If the tapping, you keep the tapping at first in a nice decent pace and then just slow the tapping down as your heart slows, as you slow, as your stress and anxiety completely leave the building. Okay, bilateral stimulation. Again, on your knees, on your arms, on your lap, or on the sides of your legs. One hand at a time. So it's got to be alternating, okay? So it's one hand at a time, alternating. Very important. Okay. So far we have the breathing, we have the visualization, and we have the bilateral stimulation. By the way, you can do all of them together if you want. And this last thing will be done independently. This particular thing is really using your imagination again, but it's a manipulation of a feeling image. And what do I mean by feeling image? You can do this in the moment. I'll guide you through it so you can see what a feeling image is. Okay? Right now, I want you to think of something that bothers you. Nothing that bothers you intensely. I don't want to get you in an intense state. But something that bothers you, yeah, fairly medium. Okay? Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's an event. Maybe it's a thing. Think of that person, event, or thing right now and just focus on them, and you'll probably feel an intensity, because if they bother you, there's an intensity in your body. What's in your mind is also in your body. Okay, so bring your awareness to your body. Where is it most intense? This feeling that bothers you about this person, event, or scenario of some sort, something that's happening. Okay, something that stresses you. Bring your awareness to your body, and where is it most intense? A lot of times it's in the stomach. Okay, it could be in the chest, it could be in the throat. A lot of people say, I feel it in my head. It's very rarely in the lower part of your body. I've never run into anyone that I've dealt with that said it's in the lower part of their body. If it's a feeling from an emotion, sometimes if it's something that's dealing with a physical pain, it could be. But you're probably feeling it either in your stomach, your chest, or your head somewhere. And wherever it's most intense, I want you to put your hand there right now. Put your hand there right now. Okay? So wherever it's most intense, put your hand there, bring your awareness there, and I want to ask you a couple questions. You know, if it had a shape, what would it be? This thing, that's this intensity, okay, what shape is it? Is it round ball? That's very common. It could be this squishy thing, that's common, or a block, or just some weird shape that's really uncomfortable, or a disc. And once in a while, it's a gaseous type of thing. So once you've got an idea of what shape it is, I'm going to ask you if it had a color. What color would it be? And I would say that most people come up with it's a dark color. It's either a really dark color or it's a fiery red, because some of these, if you've got a really strong stress, it might come up as a fiery red. And a few other things. What size is it? Sometimes you got this thing in your chest, it's your whole chest. Sometimes it's just this fist-sized thing right there. Okay, what size is this feeling? And I might get into, is it coarse or smooth? You know, if something's there and it's really bothering you, it might be really coarse. So if it moves, it really is intense. Now, I'm not talking real honest to goodness physical pain, although you know you can get physical pain, but emotional pain is real too. Okay, is it heavy or light? Now, not all these pains are really heavy. Sometimes they are. Sometimes it's really heavy on my stomach or heavy on my chest, but not always. And is it moving or still? Sometimes these things are just sitting there like this, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're moving, they're rotating, or shaking, pulsing. So why do we do all this? Why do we do all this? First of all, I wanted you to see that, yes, most of you, I'm sure, found an intensity. If you really had a thought that was bothering you, you found an intensity in your body. You found that it had a shape, it had a color, and it might have had some of the other attributes we're talking about. Okay? So this is how you work this. I start off with the color. Whatever color it is, I want you to imagine that the color's changing to like a baby blue, like a powder blue. Imagine that you're changing into a much lighter, much more innocent color. And if I ask you, did it change in any way? You're probably going to tell me that, yes, it got lighter. It got lighter, just changing the color. And the color is your imagination. So just changing the color in your imagination will more than likely have made this feeling, this intensity, less. Okay, and I could go for even more. From this baby blue, I want you to make it just about clear. You can still see that the shape's there, but it's almost see-through. Make it almost see-through, and I will bet you, if you're able to do this. Now, not everybody has full control over to make these things change, but most of you can. If you're able to do this, if you're able to manipulate this to make it clear, you'll find that it really has lessened a lot. And I usually then work on size. Even when we got it to a lighter color, it doesn't have to be clear, in a lighter color, I would then ask, and then you would then do, see if you can shrink this to half the size it's at now, to half the size. So if it was this big, to about this big. If it was the size of your fist, to about, about this big. And then test it. Is this better or is it worse? And more than likely, 95% of the people, when you change something from a dark color to a lighter color to a clear, it gets better. And when you change something from a bigger size to half the size, it gets better. Okay, if it was coarse, I would ask you to smooth it out. smooth it out. So if it's clear, it's like just polished glass. And it's probably really light by now, and probably we don't have to worry about having it be still if it was moving, or having it move if it was being still. We don't have to worry about that. Right now, if you're able to get that to half the size, I want you to imagine that you're making it even half the size that it was. Half the size that it was. And by now it's probably feeling pretty good. And if it's feeling okay, if it's feeling like it's hardly a problem, there's barely a problem, then just tell yourself, you can give yourself commands, by the way. You're talking to your subconscious mind, tell yourself to lock it in. And I usually like to have a sound with it, a padlock. Sometimes you'll picture the padlock. You don't have to picture the padlock. It's all about sound, saying lock it and click. That big padlock sound in your mind. And I will bet you whatever you thought of originally has gone away or has reduced incredibly. Okay. I want to open this up for some feedback right now. So you can take yourselves off mute and let's hear what happened. And see if I have to do maybe a demo. Let's hear what happened with each of you.
So Kevin, this is
yes, Anil.
Is it not something like yoga? You know, because after the yoga, they ask you also to, you know, to inhale and exhale and lie down on the carpet, and the stress goes away.
Yeah, it's yes. There's a lot of similarities to a lot of modalities. This comes from neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, but NLP modeled a lot of other things. So they took what worked and they modeled it. So yeah, this could have originally come from yoga and from some things that track back to thousands of years.
Thank you.
But the idea is that you can bring your imagination to imagine that this feeling does have a shape, it does have a color, it does move, it does do this or that. You can bring yourself to actually imagine that. And then once you're imagined that, you can then bring yourself to change it, to manipulate it. And by the way, if your subconscious mind manifests the feeling in a big square black box, then when you change it to baby blue, and maybe I didn't talk about shapes too much, but you know, change a black box to a baby blue box and then change it to a baby blue circle, right? Your subconscious mind is going to say, well, that's different than I first put the feeling out there as. So this is now going to feel this way. This is now going to feel this way. So yeah, Anil, your original question, yes, I'm sure there's a lot of similarities to a lot of different modalities, but the fact is, from a subconscious point of view, this works. Anybody else have any feedback? Your mute button is probably in your lower left part of your screen if you're on a computer, if you're on a Windows computer. Not sure about a Mac. Okay.
Kevin, it's the same on the Mac.
Oh, it is the same thing on a Mac. Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so anyone else want to unmute and give some feedback? Rena. Yeah.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you. Does this help me to sleep better? Because I have a hard time sleeping at night, so.
Okay. So what I would suggest for sleeping is, you know how we talked about the breath and how we talked about counting
4 times 8.
Counting to 4 or however long your breath takes, and then doubling that count. Okay, so if you do that, not just count in your head, but count with your fingers. And this is also from breath walk, right? You count with your fingers and you say 1, 2, 3. Oh, let's see, I've got to bring my fingers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. However long your breath is. If you, in every breath you count with your fingers and you do it with both hands, you do it 1, 2, 3, 4. If you do that while you're lying down in bed, guess what? You're breathing. You're aware of your breathing. You're in and out. You're aware of a count in your head, and you're also aware of what you're doing with your fingers. And there's no way other problems, other things can get in the way of you falling asleep. So it gets the chatter out. And then if you're doing the belly breath and the 4x8 to begin with, your body, your heart starts to slow down, you're more oxygen into the bloodstream, and you relax more. And so it should really help you sleep. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so Kevin, when you say about the 4x8, it means 4 breaths in and 8 breaths out, right? Is that what?
Well, not necessarily breaths. It's the length of time. The length of time is represented by a count of 4. So however long your breath in, make it so it's a count of 4. How's that? I like I said at the beginning, I said, I like to say that it's as long as your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. But when Rena just asked the questions, I talked about counting. So it's not necessarily, that would be 4 breaths in, right? I could do, that. I don't take a breath 1, 2, 3, 4. I take a breath for the count of 4, and then an exhale for the count of 8. Does that make sense, Anil?
I'll unmute myself. And the question is, it has to be by the way of mouth, or it has to be also the way of the nose?
No, I did say I like to breathe in through nose and out through mouth, and I think I have more control on the exhale. However, you can breathe in with your mouth and out with your nose. You can do it however it's comfortable for you. But the important thing is that you're filling your belly first and that you're exhaling twice as long. Those are the 2 main important things with this breath. Does that make sense?
Sure, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. By the way, once in a while when I am walking, I find myself once in a while going, I don't know that that's healthy to relax. When I'm walking, that might give a different thing for me. But in the moment when I'm stressed, I wouldn't do that. I would just do a nice, deep, slow breath. That's what you want for stress and anxiety. Did anybody else have any outcomes with this imagery thing that we did on the feeling? Do you want me to go through another example and maybe even do a demo with someone here? Okay. Okay. So actually, these are the 4 things. By the way, you're probably thinking, NLP and hypnosis. Where's the NLP and hypnosis? First of all, you bring your hypnosis is just a matter of getting your mind into trance. Those of you that meditate, guess what? Trance is a certain brain frequency. When your brain slows down to a certain frequency, in beta, you're listening, you're interacting, you're very conscious. In alpha, you're starting to let your imagination in, and the logic starts to get less. So in beta, in our consciousness, we're talking, and we're evaluating things. We're listening, and you're probably evaluating you know, does this stuff really work? And you're going through, and that's what we call a critical factor. When your brain slows down just to the next level, your imagination starts to come in, and you can do this thing where you can say, well, I have this really intense feeling here in my chest. I have this intense feeling here in my chest, and it's dark, and it's like a tubular thing, like a whirlwind in my chest. That is not logical. Logic says, oh, you've got your lungs there, okay? you've got your rib cage and everything else. That's logic, okay? When you think of something that has a color, that has a shape, and that might be moving, that's not physical, that's when you're starting to get in trance, okay? So just the imagery that we're talking about puts you in trance. So that's what that is. The breathing will put you in trance. Trance is a simple state where your brain slows down, and the difference between meditation and hypnosis is focused. Hypnosis is focused on a purpose or on an item or a thing where you're bringing you're purposely doing something with your imagination. Meditation, for the most part, general meditation is about emptying your mind. Okay? They both use the same brain frequencies. They both use the same brain frequencies. So basically, when you're doing this last thing that's up here, you are actually doing hypnosis by that. Hey, Geraldine. So when you're doing this, NLP tells us about certain things and the way the brain works and the way it interacts and stuff like that. This is almost a little bit of NLP. EMDR was created by this woman, I can't think of the name off the top of her head, about the same time that Steve Andreas was talking about something called EMI, where he said you're moving your eyes to certain places and you can relieve stress. She said, when I'm walking down a garden pathway and I'm stressed, I was looking right to left, and I became de-stressed. So she built a whole therapy out of it, okay? NLP, you know, takes to mind about eye movement and everything else. So this is a little bit of NLP, not directly. And this definitely is imagery. It definitely is imagery. So when you can imagine things leaving your body in your breath, in your exhale, when you can imagine the stresses, the worries, all those images are leaving out in your breath, you're in trance. You're in trance, there's no doubt about it. And that's either in both NLP and hypnosis happening to you. They're both based on the fact that you can use imagery to get results, and you can. So all of this is overlaying over NLP as well as hypnosis. It's fun, isn't it? These strategies will work for you. You want to decrease your stress or your anxiety in the moment. I'd start with this. Belly breath, slow exhale, slow enough that it's twice as long as the inhale. Definitely belly breath, pull on that vagus nerve. Get the heart rate to slow. Imagine. You know what my story about having brought down my temperatures? I imagined the toxins from whatever was making me sick were dissolving and going out of my breath. Whatever was making me sick was dissolving and leaving my breath. And it worked. And it worked. And this is more of a kinesthetic thing, and get involved. You don't have to use your imagination here. You don't have to think about things. You don't even have to breathe, although I recommend the breathing thing all the time. But you can all you got to do is focus on this alternate tapping on your lap, your knees, wherever it is. By the way, this is arms too. This is another way to do that. If you're watching me, you fold your arms with hands above on your shoulders or your upper arms, and you tap alternatively. So that's yet another way to do that. And by the way, I don't have to have any imagination going on here. I just tap, I focus on the tapping, and before you know it, whatever it was that was bothering me is no longer bothering me. This is quite interesting, quite good. There's another particular modality we're not doing here tonight. It's one that I've come up with. It is an eye movement modality, and it works even faster than this. This uses your nervous system. So I got nerves going up here all the way through my central nervous system into my brain on this side of the brain, okay? And then the same thing here into my brain on this side of my brain. And I think I did it right. And with the eye movements, the eyes don't have to go through the nervous system. They're connected directly to the brain. So when you use your eyes in a certain way, in a certain manner, they can actually diffuse the brain. By the way, the reason this works is because when you're stressed or when you're anxious, you've got thought patterns going on different parts of your brain, different parts depending on what it is. Probably memories or images that you've created, especially when you're anxious. Okay, and they're tied over to the parts of the brain that have the emotions. So the neural pathways are wired that way. And when you start tapping, bam, 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 all this noise creates, it breaks down those other neural pathways. That's basically the theory of how it works. And there's so much other noise from when you're doing this, you're lighting up this side, and then you're lighting up this side, and then you're lighting up this side. And there's so much going on. What it does is kind of scratches the record. For those of you that are old enough, and I'm ashamed to say I am quite old enough, I grew up with records, these vinyl discs, which had a needle. Had a needle that you set atop. I think you all know this. And the funny thing is, and I learned this as a kid, I learned this very easy. You take the needle and you start playing with it and go like that. And all of a sudden, what I was listening to on the record wouldn't play right anymore. It just wasn't good anymore. Well, when you do the bilateral stimulation here, or the EMRT, which is the other one I was talking about, we're not doing tonight, but anyone wants to know about it, you can contact me. When you do that, you basically go like this over the neural pathways that are feeding the emotions to your stress and your anxiety. And all of a sudden, they're not there anymore. Or they're not there as intense anymore. So yes, there is definitely science to this, but there are definitely ways to get yourself out of stress and anxiety, and it's something we need more than ever nowadays. Believe it. And what this does is NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. Programming is the thing that people got frightened about. You know, they came out in the late 70s and 80s, and cults were out at that time and everything. I'm talking about reprogramming people and stuff like that. And yeah, it can be a dangerous thing. NLP is not about that. NLP is about finding out how someone's programmed. So when you did this exercise and you thought of this person, place, event, or whatever it is that bothered you, that gave you the stress or anxiety or whatever it is, and you found it was here, if you found it was here, or you found it within your stomach, wherever you found it was, that's how you program for that. So it's about deciding the program. So when you discovered it was a dark color or it was a red color or whatever color it was, that's how you program for that feeling, that in the moment thing about how you're feeling towards that event. And if it had a size, if it was coarse or smooth, if it was moving or still, that's how you program for that. So you figure out how you program for it and you change it. And in this case, the way you did with this particular process, it is an art. There's no one thing. I use that powder blue color, but that's not necessarily going to work. It doesn't work on everyone. Matter of fact, I just did it last night in a group coaching, and it didn't work on one particular person. Matter of fact, it actually maybe raised it a little bit more because it was so close to the color. In that case, it was like a gray color. It was so close to a color. See, the reason why it may not work, and it may work and may not work, is because we're all different. That's the cool thing about working in the field that I'm in, because I have to realize that we're all different. I have to know that I might have to take a different approach. I might have to take a different path for what I'm working with. And when you're dealing here, you know, just because if a person made you feel so intense and stressed and it was here, you might later on, another person might make you feel a similar way, but a feeling might not be there anymore. It may be somewhere else. So we're all a little different. We're all a little different. You know, from one person to the other, the feelings are going to be different places, different shapes, different colors. So this is an art form. This is explore, bring your awareness to yourself. And by the way, just bringing your awareness to yourself, just doing that is a wonderful thing, because it actually helps reduce any stress and pain, whatever it is. So it's really, really nice to do that. So bring your awareness to yourself and find out where it is, how it is, and change the stuff. Now this, I'll tell you right off, this is also used for pain. I've seen this used for pain. I've done this with pain in demonstrations. And so if you have a pain, and you have a pain in your hand, it's easy. You know, sometimes our descriptions are there. Oh, that's like a needle sticking through my hand. Well, I got the shape. It's a needle. Okay. And if I thought it was a needle, is it silver? Is it clear silver? Yeah, now I got the color, right? So I might say, you know, this needle's turning to look like it's clear, like water. I wouldn't say glass, because, you know, I don't want it to feel like like it's broken and stuck in there, like water. And all of a sudden the feeling starts to disappear. This is really cool stuff. It is really wonderful the way the imagination can affect the body, and the way the body can affect the mind as well. It's really interesting stuff. So let's see. Now I'm just going to open it up. We've done several things. I'm going to open it up just for questions. Who has questions about what we've been doing? Nobody. Comments, questions, anything? Were you breathing so deeply and so slowly you all relaxed so much you fell asleep?
So, yeah, I mean, are you going to do some trance on us, you know, so that we can relax?
Well, this is all about relieving. This is all about things that you can do to relieve stress. So if you want to relax now, then yeah, if we're all in for another 5 minutes or so, I will show you how to do that. And will be basically a model for self-hypnosis. And you know how it starts? It starts with the breathing that I just showed you all. A deep, slow breath, a belly breath in, and an exhale that's twice as long. So start breathing. Let's say 4 breaths. And as you're exhaling, I want you to imagine that you're sinking deeper and deeper into the chair or the sofa or wherever you're sitting. Imagine your entire body is sinking into the cushions. And if your eyes aren't shut, shut your eyes right now. And this is all about relaxation. Continue breathing, but maybe not so much focus on your breath anymore. Just allow your breath to go back to normal. Allow yourself to continue to relax and go deeper and deeper into that chair every time you exhale. Feel your body sinking. Feel your body deepening, relaxing every time you exhale. Imagine that you're sinking deeper and deeper. Now I want you to bring your awareness, because bringing your awareness to different parts of your body is very helpful in allowing you to relax even more. Your awareness to your eyes right now. Just become aware of how relaxed they are with the eyelids shut. And if they hadn't been shut, they're shutting now, and become aware of how relaxed they are when they do shut. And just bring your awareness to your entire eyes. And with those eyelids shut, and you know there's the tiniest muscles in your body controlling those eyelids, keeping your eyes healthy. And they've relaxed, they've let go. And this feeling around your eyes is expanding as if it were a liquid expanding through your whole face. And everywhere it expands, the muscles, all the tiny muscles in your face relax. They let go. And it feels good. And your jaw relaxes. And all the muscles around your mouth relax. Your tongue relaxes. Pretty soon your whole face, your whole head is relaxed. And all the muscles have let go. And when the muscles let go, it feels good. And when you let go of something you need to, it feels good. So as the rest of your body, as you bring your awareness to your rest of your body, your shoulders, your chest, your arms, your hands, your legs, as your awareness scans down, just let the muscles relax. Let them all relax. And as those muscles relax and just let go, it feels good, doesn't it? And when you let go, it feels good, doesn't it? And you're letting go right now of whatever this has been bothering you, whatever has been on your mind that has been causing you discomfort. Just like your muscles let go, you're letting go now. Just letting go. And you're going to continue to let go as I count from 1 to 10. You'll be going deeper and deeper into relaxed state, and you're going to be releasing and letting go whatever it is that's been bothering you. All the way to the time I get to 10, and you will have completely released it and relaxed. 1. If you want to use your imagination as if you're going down a set of stairs, a beautiful set of stairs. 2, you're stepping downstairs. If you want to use your imagination as if you're going down an elevator. 3, 1 floor at a time. You're going down an elevator. 4, if you want to use your imagination that you're just floating down 10 different levels. 5, as I count. 6, You're going deeper, but you're feeling lighter. 7. It's as if you're rising. 8, but you're going deeper and deeper. 9, deeper. 10 is the deepest level that we're going to go to today. And as we get to 10, imagine yourself releasing, letting go of whatever it is that you've been holding on to. And if in your imagination it still seems to be tied somewhat, some thread, some whatever, imagine that a beam of light is coming through and just cutting the ties to whatever it is that has been bothering you and letting it go. And it floats way up in the air, way up and out of sight. And it feels good to let go, doesn't it? It feels good. So as a little gift, when I count you back up and back to awakeness, with each and every number this time, you're going to feel your confidence building up. You're going to feel your ability to do what you want to do, including having a great night's sleep. You're going to feel that ability growing and growing and growing. I'm going to count you up to 5. And when I get to 5, and only when I get to 5, you just open your eyes. You're going to take a nice deep breath and you're going to feel so good. 1, 2, 3. Your confidence to do whatever you want to do is growing stronger and stronger. 4. And take that deep breath. 5. Open your eyes. Come back into the room. Come back to that computer screen, that phone, whatever it is you're looking at. Open your eyes now. You're feeling refreshed. You're feeling relaxed. And hopefully you're feeling lighter. You're feeling lighter because you let go of something. You're feeling confident because you'll be able to do whatever you need to do, whatever you want to do. Now, you can unmute yourselves. By the way, you can use the chat box too. You can unmute yourselves or chat in with any responses, with any things that, any comments or feedback at all.
Thanks, Kevin. I like it very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I feel that I want to go to bed at this moment. Yeah.
Very, very.
That's very nice. Thank you for what you shared with us today and this beautiful exercise.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. You're very welcome.
Hey, Carlos,
Anybody
are
else?
you the same guy I used to meet in the dances?
Am I the same guy you used to meet? Where?
Out on those, I mean, like a dance somewhere in Dedham you used to go to? No, you are not the same person.
I'm not the same person.
Okay.
You
there's
wouldn't want to
another
see me
Carlos
dance.
there.
You wouldn't want to see me dance, Neil.
Okay, no problems, I think I met you a few years ago. He was also Carlos, and he told me that you are out in the Kevin's.
Oh, you're asking Carlos that. Sorry about that. That was me.
I mean, are you not Carlos?
Well, I am Carlos, but I don't think we have met before.
Oh, we
I like
have,
to
right?
dance. What's that?
We have met before, right?
To be quite honest, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. You have to give me more details about who you really are.
Yeah.
Who are
Okay.
you? So I can tell.
Okay.
But
No, I mean,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's okay.
maybe yeah.
So, anybody else have any feedback? Any things that they feel lighter coming out? Rena.
Yes, I do feel a lot lighter. But my last question is, how when should I start like repeating this exercise before I decide to go to bed? Is it 1 hour before I do it, or how does it take effect?
No,
When?
do that just when it's time to go to bed.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Sure. By the way, any feedback afterwards, like Rena, if you want to let me know through Meetup, there's a messenger in Meetup, and
All
you
right.
message me the next day. Anybody else have any feedback? Did they enjoy that? By the way, are these practical exercises for stress and anxiety? Are these things that you think you can do?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Without medication.
Without medication, absolutely. That's the best part of this.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
You're
Kevin.
welcome. You're welcome. If anyone wants to know more about this kind of stuff and things, you can message me. You can get me on Facebook. I do a Tuesday morning coffee with Kevin. I'm looking very much like I am now with my coffee cup. Tuesday morning coffee with Kevin on my Facebook Live, and it's easy to get me. Just look for Kevin Martin, Lowell, Mass, and you'll find me on Facebook, and I'll connect with you if I'm not connected with you.
And so if you don't have Facebook, you can get into your program, huh?
Well, right now the live sessions are in Facebook only. I'll be doing YouTube a little later, hopefully later this month. So you can get that, and hopefully have a lot of the Facebook sessions downloaded onto YouTube. I haven't done that yet, so we'll be getting more and more of this multimedia out there. By the way,
I think YouTube is better, Kevin, because then the more you upload it, you can make money too.
Yeah. Rena, if you would go onto my,
because you work so hard, you got to make some money, right, Rina?
Yeah, that's right. And
I gotta make money. Now, usually I charge for this particular when I'm doing something and I'm teaching somebody, and I said, we're in a time now when people just want to, people should learn this stuff. So I didn't charge, and I'm not going to charge. The recording's going to be open. But Rena, on my YouTube channel, Kevin Martin YouTube channel, if you want, you can message me and I'll send you the link. I have something I did years ago with a pocket watch, and it has a clicking sound. And there's been so many people who have told me that it helped them sleep. So if you connect with me on Meetup, send me a message, and I'll send you that link, or you email me if you can get my email.
But if you have a YouTube, I can subscribe to you if you already have a YouTube channel.
If I
yes.
Yeah. I got a few YouTube channels actually, but the one that's just under my name, Kevin Martin, that's the one that has that. So yeah, fantastic.
There are so many like sleep meditation on YouTube, but they actually keep me awake.
You have to watch that because some of them you're concentrating so much on the voice that you're not going under. But
so
did
Rina,
you feel relaxed enough?
Sorry?
Rina, you got to try transcendental meditation. If you do TM, have you heard about TM?
TM?
Yeah.
Can you write down, Anil, please, on the chat? What's the name?
TM, Transcendental Meditation.
Oh,
transcendental. Out there they tell you that you do not have to concentrate on anything. If your mind goes 5,000 miles away, they encourage it.
Okay,
transcendental. It's all about clearing your mind.
Transcendental meditation.
But try that counting that I was telling you about. Okay, so the breathing and the counting, and between the two of them, the breathing is going to slow your heart. It's going to slow your whole system down, so you in your brain waves, so that you should be able to sleep.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome, everyone.